We're here on the cusp of June, so it's difficult to give an answer to the question I'm about to ask. But the lane in which we're currently residing, sports talk radio, and everybody has pretty much put their rosters together. I mean, here and there we might see a change, but you pretty much post draft know who's where. So the biggest obstacle to a three-peat for the Chiefs would be what, or which team, Greg? Right now,
man, I'll tell you, it seems like every time we leave them for dead, we called it. We've had the pleasure of calling a bunch of their games over the last couple of years, and halfway through the season last year, and the media, the narrative was they're done. They can't block. Their offensive line hasn't come together like they thought. Their offensive weapons, Mahomes cannot carry them again with just Travis Kelce. They never should have let Tyreek go 2 years ago. Like all of even though they won the Super Bowl right away,
yes,
like last year. Those narratives were starting to creep back. Like, you can't just rely on Mahomes to be a magician. He can't do it all himself. And Andy Reid can only create so much. And then as the year went on, they got a little bit better. And then they found their groove. So I think the only thing stopping them is them, right? I think as long as their best players are heavily engaged, which they show no signs of not, continuing to be committed to doing things at a high level, committed to being professionals, committing to being as long as they got Mahomes and Kelce and Chris Jones and that young defense is off the charts. I mean, we can go on a whole segment on just their ability to weather the defensive turnover, win the Super Bowl with all those rookies 2 years ago, and then all those guys in year two with Spags, arguably were the best defense in the league, maybe in the top handful. Like, for them to be able to do that so quickly and weather the storm was because of Andy Reid, because they had Mahomes, and he's like the ultimate eraser. So, like, they have things that everyone else doesn't have, so they can kind of weather the ups and the downs. As long as Mahomes is there, as long as Andy Reid is there, as long as Kelsey's there, and as long as that defense stays young and active and Spagnuolo's blitzing guys from all over the place, come next year in the AFC, doesn't matter who the fun team is, who the story, when it comes down, until proven otherwise, the AFC goes through Kansas City. And it's going to be that way as long as all those guys are still wearing Chiefs uniforms and obviously still playing at a high level.
You may be right, Greg, because, in terms of narratives, you're already hearing the creep in about also who is Mahomes going to throw to this year. And in terms of stopping themselves, Rashee Rice needed to stop himself from speeding, right? Or whatever's going on with him in his life, to be honest with you. And now it's Hollywood Brown in that spot. Can he be that guy? If Rashee Rice is not going to be available even for parts of the season, what about their new rookie that they drafted in Xavier Worthy, right? I mean, we're already in that mode right now. And distractions, things of that nature, Harrison Butker being clearly one of them. These are the things you're already talking about, but we're not playing games. Games start, you look at their schedule. I mean, holy crap, right? Ravens at home, Bengals at home. You want to talk about teams that could potentially mess up their three-peat. Those are two that right off the bat. Then they're at Atlanta, at the Chargers. Harbaugh's back in the mix here. They've got home for New Orleans, a bye at San Francisco. Vegas would love to basically say, hey, we picked up your confetti here in this building, but it's a whole new world, right? Baker, Denver, at Buffalo, so on and so forth. And then you got the whole concept of all those short weeks they play on every day of the week except Tuesday this coming year.
Yeah.
It's going to be something. It really is going to be something, Greg.
Yeah, and remember, the fact that they have had the success that they've had, right? When you talk about, especially in recent years, right, the Patriots, the Chiefs, like in this era of football, when these teams put on this prolonged period of success,
yes,
they are doing it in spite of every single rule and every single institution of the NFL. They are doing it in spite of everything that's in place, right? You are not supposed to win for a long period of time because you're supposed to lose all your good players to free agency. You're not supposed to keep your coordinators because they're going to get head coaches, because the more success you have, the more attrition your coaching staff has. The better you are, you play all the division winners from the previous year in your division, in your out of division games. So you play a harder schedule. You play more playoff teams, right? Like you get the lower draft picks. I mean, across the board, everything in the NFL is designed for the really successful teams to fall back to the middle, and for the really bad teams to climb themselves up and just put everybody in that middle tier. So for them to continue to overcome all of those processes put in place and just continue to win in spite of turnover at the offensive weapons every single year, mostly at wideout, in spite of 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl against Philly, doing it with like 7 rookie starters on defense, who then, oh my God, in year 2, these guys are flat out stars and their defense is now carrying the team while the offense kind of found their way there in the middle of the season when they were struggling. Like, they are able to weather things that most teams cannot because they have continuity at the most important spots, head coach and quarterback. When those 2 spots are stable, consistent, and obviously elite at what they do, you have a lot more freedom and flexibility to struggle on offense because the defense can pick you up, and struggle on defense and break in some new guys. Like, not every team has the ability to weather those storms. That's why you see teams good and then fall off the face of the earth. And then a team that was bad have a real flash in the pan, make a run to the playoffs, and then the next year they fall out. Like, the NFL is designed for that. So the fact that the Chiefs can continue to weather all these obstacles, storylines, primetime games every week, different days, different schedules is only because of the people we've talked about this whole interview.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the advantage that they have that's inherent that the other teams don't have.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.